How's it going, everybody? Welcome back for some more Magic. We finally have some Aetherdrift Magic decks being built. I will admit this one is fairly light on new cards, which is good this early in the set release because some of you may be having a hard time or still taking time building up your collection. I wanted to show you this absolute banger of a deck. I've been playing with it for the past day or so, along with experimenting with some other newer decks, but this one is a total blast. Rakdos Lizards got a few things, primarily one new lizard that fits so perfectly in the deck that I had to rebuild it and throw some fun together. I do have, as far as new cards, this is the one that I'm talking about, the Gestalt Thrill Seeker. It's a 2-drop 2/3, which is already really fantastic for a lizard. It has Start Your Engines, which is good. It lets us play into the new mechanic. When this creature enters, it deals 1 damage to target opponent, and you gain 1 life. So it lets you ping and drain your opponent while getting a 2/3 out on the battlefield. So as soon as you play this, it's going to start your engines and then ping them, getting you up to 2 speed, which is fantastic. And then it has max speed. This creature has Death Touch and Haste. So really, really enjoy this new lizard. Plays off of a lot of the new mechanics and is super, super fun. Then we've also got, I threw 1 Lifecraft engine in here. It is a 4/4 for 3 vehicle that as this vehicle enters, choose a creature type. The vehicle creatures you control are the chosen type, in addition to their other types. Each creature you control of the chosen type, other than itself, or other than this vehicle, gets +1/+1, and it has a crew of 3. So essentially, it becomes a lizard. It makes any other vehicles you have become a lizard. Though I don't have other vehicles in this, but you could definitely experiment with that as well. And it bumps all of your lizards by +1/+1. So if you used something like Patchwork Banner or something along those lines in the past, this has a very similar ability, while also being something that you can crew and get attacking out while your lizards and stuff are like entering the battlefield and not having haste potentially, things like that. So really, really fun to use as well. I thought this was nice, though you could absolutely remove this and just run a 4th Gestalt Thrill Seeker and it would be totally fine. I just wanted to add in a couple of extra new cards. Aside from those, I'm also using the Grim Bauble. You'd probably still be better off using something like Torch the Tower or Cut Down in this position, but I wanted to play with some of the new cards. So Grim Bauble is an actually pretty interesting one. It's essentially a stab that stays on the battlefield and you can sack it for Surveil later. Can come in handy. Again, like I said, it's just a new card. Still useful, so I wanted to get it in here and play around with it as well. I did switch out the Go for the Throats with Shoot the Sheriff. We're going to be running into a lot of artifact creatures and vehicles now, so I wanted to have something that wasn't non-target specific. I tried putting in the Feast card, the rare 2-drop removal that mills you, but it just doesn't synergize at all in this deck, so it's not worth it. You could still run Go for the Throat, because you are still going to run into a lot of non-artifact creatures. You could run Bitter Triumph if you don't mind discarding or paying 3 life. I think that one's going to be one of the best removal now, because it does hit planeswalkers or creatures. But Shoot the Sheriff was really nice here. It still maintains that 2-drop, and people are using less and less these types of outlaw creatures. So, of course, in a mirror match it would be horrible, and there are still a lot of outlaw creatures, so keep that in mind. But we've also got 1 copy of Nowhere to Run, just giving us that additional removes hexproof and ward abilities function. Really, really nice. You've probably used this in the past since it came out in Duskmourn, but I think it's worth running at least a 1 of in this deck. I don't like running a lot of minus abilities. They can be nice against things like the new God cards, because minus abilities can destroy things without it going around the indestructible. So that's something to keep in mind also. But I really don't like doing it in general, because then you'll have to like double up on maybe a Bauble plus a Nowhere to Run or something like that to kill something bigger, which is no fun. We do have a pretty standard lizard package here. We've got Jasper, Valley Flamecaller, Gev, Hourglass Mentor, Viashino Pyromancer. This is actually a reprint in Foundations. I'm using the M19 version. This card's really fantastic too, and is pretty interchangeable with the new Thrill Seeker. I think I like the Thrill Seeker better, obviously. This is a 2-1, and this is a 2-3 that can have Death Touch and Haste, and has Start Your Engines. So you can interchange these quite a bit, maybe bump this up to a 4 and keep this down to a 2, depending on what you do. You know, something along that if you want to mix and match a little bit. But still a really good card. It does ping for 2 to any target player or planeswalker when it enters, so it is fantastic in this deck as well. We got Flamecash Gecko, Hired Claw, and Iridescent Vine Lasher. You don't really ever want to get rid of these. These are going to be your staple 1-drops in this deck, so they absolutely must stay. Then, moving on from there, we do have a sideboard. Not terribly new. Got Ghost Vacuum for your graveyard matchups, which you'll be running into quite a bit. Anoint with Affliction if you need more Exile to go along with your -3 effects, stuff like that. It can be really helpful. Pyroclasm's really nice. They did print a new 3-drop Pyroclasm that has a cycling for 2. I think just keeping the 2-drop Pyroclasm is still going to be your better bet, though. And this can be really relevant. There are things that are populating the board very heavily right now. We've got Blot Out, which is really nice if you need to get rid of something big, but can't target it, or, for example, need to exile something. This, again, can be a card that's really relevant for those new God cards. I do have Spin Out in the sideboard. This is really good for destroy target creature or vehicle. This is going to help in the new scheme of things that you're going to be seeing from your opponents. However, I've noticed that people, especially this early, are still leaning heavily into the older cards, so it's not becoming super relevant, and it's a 3-drop, so that's why I have Shoot the Sheriff in. However, if it became relevant, you could absolutely sideboard this in for those Shoot the Sheriff, so that's why it's in here. We have Thoughtstalker Warlock. I think this is like my version of an honorable mention Lizard. I don't love this card. It's good if you are playing up against someone more control-oriented, so I could see you putting this in there against a control deck or something like that so that you can hit their hand a little bit as well. But I don't love this Lizard. It's a 3-drop 2/2. It does have Menace, but that's why it's in sideboard. It's kind of more of a niche mashup thing. You want to be dealing damage heavily, so that's why I have these mainboard, this sideboard. Then we've also got Urbrask's Forge. If you're playing someone that is just super, super heavy removal, especially like exile decks and stuff like that that are targeting your creatures, this is going to become huge. You need something on the board, so Urbrask Forge still fantastic. Obviously doesn't synergize with Lizards at all, but it's in red, and you can kind of just keep pinging in hits if people are playing, like, you know, you're playing a mono-white token deck or something along those lines. This can really be relevant. So this is a best-of-3 ready Lizard deck for Standard right now with the new Aetherdrift. I'm going to be playing it in best-of-1. I've already been playing it, and this deck's a lot of fun, so that's why it's what I wanted to share with you right away. Kind of skipped over it. We do have some land here. I'm running a couple of Blaze-Mire Verge, but only a couple of them because I'm not running the dual land that is a Swamp Mountain. This deck really wants to be aggressive, so having tap lands entering is really not the play that I'm going for. We've got one Mudflat Village, one two Rockface Village, some basics, Blackleaf Cliffs, Sulphurous Springs. That's mostly because, like I said, this is a really aggressive deck. Everything's like a 1 to 3 drop. So we want to go fast. And then we've got a couple of Cavern of Souls. Those are good in any tribal deck that you're playing. I'll go ahead and tell you that. So Cavern of Souls, really fantastic. Could even run more of it if you want. I don't love the village cards because you can't use them to play like your removal and stuff like that if it came down to it. So worth keeping that in mind, especially if you've got the Cavern of Souls plus the villages. They can really hinder your non-lizard creature or your non-lizard cards. But most of it's lizards, so it's not going to come into play too much. But that kind of explains my choices on the land. I'm going to go ahead and start getting into matches. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Like I said, this deck is really fun. It's very good. And it makes use of a couple of these new cards that I think really just upped the quality of Lizards a little bit. But I'll go ahead and start getting into games for you. Alright, we do have some of our new cards here in the opening hand. I think this is pretty good. We'll keep. Nothing to bobble yet. We are going to be taking some damage if we don't draw some other alternative kind of land. That is very worth killing, in my opinion. Don't like seeing you. I still think getting the Thrill Seeker out right now is probably the play. Gets our start your engine stuff going. Maybe going for a big removal turn on this one if he goes for another creature. Yeah, pretty unbothered by that altogether. We're just going to kill that creature. Don't want him to keep building on that, so just go ahead and just get rid of it now. Get our speed up a little bit more. Emberheart Challenger is pretty annoying. We're basically going to be ignoring that one, in my opinion. We've got a couple of options here. I think, honestly, getting Gev and the Pyromancer out is going to help more than getting the Flamecaller out at the moment. Got our max speed up now. I'm gonna hold back, just because this now has Death Touch, we could potentially block. Not bothered by the ruckus at all. Got himself a land, which is pretty disappointing in his case, I'd imagine. He really needs a Sheltered by Ghost or something to get rid of my Thrill Seeker. Okay, we're looking good here. I'm going to go Flamecaller. Then I'm just going to attack him with everything except for Gev, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty okay with that outcome. Not bothered. If he does go aggro, which it doesn't look like he is, and there were a few other things we could have done there, but let's go ahead and get the bubble going, just so that we can get that scry at this point. I really need something other than land coming in, so I'm going to try and get all the land off the top. Don't really need a Gev. I don't think the Vine Lasher is really what we're after either. Go ahead and attack with everything. He may pump and kill our Gev, but even if he does, that's fine with me. Yeah, so it looks like he's at best going to be able to get rid of our Gev here. Oh no, he's going for getting rid of the... Wow, and yeah, that kills his creature. I'm shocked that's what he picked. The Flamecaller's... I mean, it did reduce the amount of damage that he's taken, but it also killed off his creature, so I think that was a really strange choice. Maybe he didn't realize. Got the little double mouse coming out. Not interested. Hopefully we don't get a land. I know I milled two things that weren't land off the top, but I just really hope we don't get land. Okay, we got a Vine Lasher. That's pretty acceptable. He is going to have to block both creatures at this point if he wants to survive. Because if either gets through, he's done. Double blocks aren't really going to be an option. He can use that to favorably trade with Gev, but he's still got to get rid of both. Then I've still got plenty of creatures to come in and hit you with, bud. Yeah, so easy win. Turned out more aggressive than the red-white enchantment deck. I think the choices we made were good. The ones that he made were not so great. Starting off with the Optimistic Scavenger going straight into Feather of Flight was really silly, in my opinion. it didn't give him any real advantage. It gave him like 2 extra damage and allowed him to fly, but he didn't keep up any protection for his creature or anything like that. And then that trade for Emberheart with the Monstrous Rage and the Demonic Ruckus and all that, I think that was really poor choice too. He used a lot of resources just to trade with my creature rather than being able to like kill it outright and things like that. But anyway, got to use some of the new cards and see how fun they could be. Hopefully you guys like that. It's good game 1. We'll see where it goes from here. Alright, let's see how this one goes. Looks like a pretty acceptable opening. I do wish we had a 1-drop, but this will be fine. Probably going to start off with Gev. Despite it not being something that we want to die right away, it's going to give us more benefit having it out on the board before we play other things. Okay, looks like we've got another mono-red player here, essentially. Could be rough if they get just what they need to, like, kind of pound in aggressively on us here. Sheltered by Ghost really does hurt, honestly, because that means we're not going to be able to get extra damage in on this turn. So I think what I'm going to do in this situation is going to be... It was going to be double in the Vine Lasher, but I think Gev plus Vine Lasher is actually just better here. Get to get in a little bit of that damage still, get a Vine Lasher out that's a little bit stronger, a little bit better blocker. I actually think this new little companion's super cool. He's a lot more active than a lot of the other ones are. You'll see him doing faces and zooming around on the board and stuff. I like him. Okay, he made his thing unblockable, which is fine. I honestly wasn't going to block it anyway. I could block it with my Vine Lasher, but it wouldn't trade well, so I think I'd rather just keep it on board. Oh, this will be nice. So let's go with Flame Cash Gecko. And then I know I could go with, like, Jasper or something. But I want to get that extra damage in, I really do. I think it's still probably worth getting Jasper going, though, honestly. We'll just hold back blocks for now, since I decided to go this route instead of aggressive. One more land would be nice, because we could put both of our Fiberglass Mentor and the Thrill Seeker out. I really think our opponent's deck will synergize well with ours, in fact, also, which is why I went ahead and went with Jasper instead. Whirly Call's an interesting choice. Not very bothered by that one, though, I'll be honest. I feel like that's a really bad choice, but okay. Because now he's only going to favorably trade with one of my creatures, and then I'm going to get a Gev back, which will go to the graveyard, but... I'm going to keep the bigger one. I would have loved if we could have stolen a Sheltered there. Does this work on only lizards? Target mouse. Okay. So I think I'm going to go Thrill Seeker. Hired Claw. Then I'm going to attack with Jasper. Oh, there we go. If he wants to double block the Jasper just to get rid of it, I'm fine with that. I don't think he expected these blocks, but I would much rather get rid of his stuff. He's getting rid of some of my good stuff here. That's certainly disappointing, but I think this is still just totally necessary. What do we have here? Okay, so he went ahead and quit. He had a massive lead. As you can see, these are absolutely aggressive enough to keep punching in for us. And stealing his stuff, we could start doing mouse stuff if we wanted to now. He was running out of gas, though. I think his attacks were poor choice. I kept up my blockers intentionally so that I would get value. But, you know, I mean, mono red, even if it's mono red splash white, doesn't really think super hard. So, you know, you have that to your advantage when you're playing in this kind of a matchup. They don't really consider their choices. They just attack and attack and attack. But anyway, good game 2. You're getting to see this up against aggressive matchups and how effective it is still. So super happy, and they've been fun matches to showcase this Thrill Seeker. Let's go ahead and get into a game 3. Okay, our opponent goes first, which isn't the best, and we've only got Blazemire, but I'll still keep it. We're going to need some source of red soon, but I still think this is a pretty decent opening hand despite that. Looks like our opponent's going to be playing a lot of removal. Really need that red land source, though. If we can, I'd like to go with the Flame Cash Gecko. That is not going to kill my creature. Oh, I guess it did. It's a 2/2. My bad. We do have a red source now. I'm just going to go with Gev since we did lose our Vine Lasher. So hopefully we draw another creature here that'll be good to play off of the Flame Cache. Or he could just kill my Gev. Yeah, so I'll just play another one. Ooh, that's pretty nice, actually, too. But I can't do both. I still think it's worth probably just going Gev first. If we had a basic land out here right now, these would have all been on fire ready, but be alright. If he doesn't get... He got rid of my Gev again. This guy is something else. He's just playing all removal, though. That's obvious. We're going to go ahead and go Flame Cash Gecko into Hired Claw here. Didn't get to do it the fun way, but it doesn't matter at this point. Having the extra creatures out will matter more. This dude's playing all removal. Very obviously so. I doubt he has a single creature in the whole deck at this point. Yeah, I don't care what removal of mine you get rid of, you have no creatures. So we're going to go here. Then I'm going to pump our Hired Claw, attack with it. Pump it some more. This deck's still really good against the all-removal matchup, too, because now anything that we play, we're just going to give haste and attack with, even if he keeps killing our creatures. Simulacrum Synthesizer, I think, is honestly going to be probably too slow at this point, and I do have Shoot the Sheriff. Okay, so let's go here. I'm not going to do any pumps this time, because I want to try and get cards off of the Fiberglass. And Jasper's fantastic. We'll go ahead and get that going. He's going to want to kill Jasper now, definitely. Doesn't bother me in the least. See if he's going to be able to do anything else with value here. Got a Tithing Blade out, fair enough. Okay, so let's shoot the Sheriff on his creature. Honestly, I don't really care about his Maze Mine, so I'm gonna go here. We're gonna give it haste. And get some more damage plowed in. He is at 1, so now as long as we attack with an Hired Claw on the field next turn, we win. This is what I was saying about all removal not being good enough. I mean, I appreciate he's trying to do something here with the new artifacts. I don't appreciate the Simulacrum Synthesizer. I think that's a very obnoxious card, and a lot of people are going to be playing it now. You're still better off playing it in blue-white rather than black-blue. But anyway, unless he can wipe the board right here, I think we're winning, regardless. Got another Simulacrum Synthesizer out. That's still only going to get one trigger. And like I said, he needs to kill our creatures. It doesn't matter what blockers he makes. Because as long as we have a Hired Claw and attack with a Lizard, he's taking 1 damage. Yeah. So, very easy Game 3 win. Good showcasing of the fact that this can go up against a control-style deck and still be overwhelming. This Rockface Village, don't sleep on it. It's actually really worth it, because when you're playing up against someone that's just removal, having one creature come out that's like a 2-drop or less per turn, giving it haste and swinging in is all you need. And this deck does plenty of non-combat damage to make sure that even if they get blockers with a whole bunch of Simulacrum tokens, as long as they don't get to hit you with them, you still win. But anyway, 3 games, very good showcasing. You got to see it against some very disgusting creature removal, how it could still be effective, as well as some very aggressive red-white enchantment decks. I would like to showcase some more versatility, but I've just got a lot of other things I need to work on right now with this and Call of Duty being games that I'm working on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I definitely recommend this deck. That's why I decided to showcase it as my first one coming out. Not just because it is lighter on new cards, so it's going to be easier on your wild cards if you've already been playing, but also because it's just very strong. It's very good. It's going to be competitive for a while. If not in perpetuity, because it's been competitive since Bloomborough, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it.